Well, good morning and welcome to Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire Radio. I am your host, Cy G. Every Friday, we bring you motivation, inspiration, and information that encourages you to live a wholesome life. Today, I am so excited as we continue our series on loving the journey. I am leadership coach Cy G, and my guest today is none other than gospel guitarist Thom Lourin. We are going to talk about today how sometimes on the journey we have to walk away from some things and how God, in His perfect timing, presents things back. Let me tell you a little bit about my guest. I'm so excited to have Thom on with us today. Thom Lourin began playing guitar at a very young age. Music helped him to deal with a broken home and never seeming to fit in anywhere. He was trained with classical and jazz teachers and then switched to rock music and jazz fusion and began performing and recording with various bands. During this time, in between studio and touring, Thom began to grow in popularity as a musician. Thom struggled as a very broken person, covering the pain with alcohol, drugs, and the accolades of playing with music. In the 90s, Thom toured all over the country and worked with various artists such as Jody Watley and Pieces of a Dream. I'm so excited to have Thom with us today because as we fast forward, Thom has now his music is being shared all over the country, and he is performing as a solo artist with an upcoming album to be released. Good morning, Thom. How are you?
Glad to be on here with you guys.
Oh, well, welcome. Thank you for being on Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire Radio. I am so excited about having you with us this morning and just being able to share your amazing journey.
I appreciate that. Actually, I think you covered it totally in my bio, so what else is next?
Absolutely. I love it. Well, Thom, one of the things that, I just found so interesting, and you just talked about how music just, helped as a youngster, just covers so many things. And studies have shown that music has soothing power, and there's a unique link to our emotions and an effective way to deal with stress. Did you find that is what kind of drew you to music?
Yeah, that's why I think God ended up putting a guitar in my hands. As it kind of stated in my bio, I grew up abused in a house with a lot of alcohol and a lot of things going on. By the time I hit my early teens, I was totally introverted. I could not relate to people. I was having problems in school and whatnot. And somehow in the midst of all that, I think they were trying to break me out of my shell. I ended up with a guitar at a very young age. And that was the only thing I was drawn to and the only thing I seemed good at, seemed like doing, and was able, because I was not able to talk to people even at that young age. I was able to play to people, if that makes sense.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, I'm excited today because you actually have shared some of your tracks from your upcoming CD with us. And as I was telling you before we started, I am just such a fan of jazz, and I just love your music. So I'm so excited that we get to share with the listening audience here today. I know, Thom, that you really talk about, that in 2004, you caused it at a time where it was almost like you said you hit bottom. Tell us a little bit about that and how that transition came about.
Sure. Well, like I said, after I got through my teens and I studied guitar and started playing, I ended up in a lot of band situations. But, of course, the way I grew up and the way I felt about myself had not gone. I felt, like I didn't matter. I was completely either worthless or invisible. Even though I was playing in bands, I would get on stage sometimes in front of, hundreds or thousands of people, depending upon the situations. So I spent years, masking with alcohol, with drugs, went through bouts of very serious depression, tried to end my life a few times.
Wow.
When I got to around 2004, I basically hit my bottom. I tried to kill myself. I actually failed at that, and that was a miserable feeling going, wow, I can't even commit suicide correctly. And
wow.
I just hit my bottom. I did not grow up in a church environment at all, but somehow one night I was driving somewhere in 2004, and something popped in my head telling me that, I mattered, I was loved. And I figured out who it was, so that was the turning point.
Wow. That's an amazing story, and it's so ironic that what I love about the beauty of Christ is that, he has a way of just being able, and I don't want to say show up because I think that he's with us all the time, but, that we're able to see him so much clearer, at different points in our life. Just really kind of walk us through, because I know from then you began to really do some powerful work in helping with homeless and hospice and some poverty outreaches.
Yep, that was God's idea too. When I got saved in 2004 and I found a pastor, I found a church I was going to get involved, I walked away from music because I kind of associated with the drugs, the alcohol, with the depression, everything. I just didn't have a desire to do it right then. And I was a pretty messed up person, and I got the impression that God was going to have me go to church and study the Bible and was going to fix me or something that way. And instead, he told me to go out and serve. And I didn't understand why, but I learned very early in my Christianity about obedience. So I went out and I started doing hospice volunteer, being with patients, started doing homeless ministry on the streets, and started working at a shelter as well, a family shelter, working with kids primarily. And what I didn't realize was God was actually putting my life back together, because in doing that, he was showing me that I could serve him. I had worth. If God used you, you can't top that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I started feeling fulfillment. I started to be able, because for years I couldn't even look in the mirror at myself, and I started to be able to do that. I was like, wow, I matter to God, and that's what started putting me back together.
Wow, that's a beautiful testimony. And there's something that you said that I definitely want us to really talk about today. You talked about obedience, and how did you kind of, I would say, begin to really walk in that obedience with Christ?
Well, actually, in my case, it wasn't so hard because I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to be the person I had been. I didn't, I was living with my past and everything. So if God had told me to, jump off a cliff or something, I probably would have done it. Because I did, for whatever reason, I trusted in him, and I knew he knew something I didn't.
Absolutely, and that's good.
Obedience is tough because you can't see down the road what God does, and he will ask you to do things that make no sense. They're going to make you uncomfortable. Other people aren't going to get or see, and you just got to hold his hand and keep going.
Absolutely, and this month we've been having a series here on Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire, and we've really been talking about loving the journey. And I really wanted you to really speak to the fact about how sometimes we don't really understand some things until we're actually going through them. And so you made a great point, because I believe that sometimes on our journey we are required to walk away from some things. And at the time we may not, really understand it. How was that? You've grown up doing music. You then had this very successful career in music. How was that to even really walk away from something that you were so passionate about?
Well, at first, when I first got saved, it wasn't so hard on because I was walking away from my former life in a sense. But very quickly, because music is me. I was made to do music by God, so I started to really miss it. But at the same token, I was afraid to go back to it at first because, like I said, I came off of I was drinking massively. I was doing drugs, all kinds of stuff, and it was hand in hand with the music. So and God did, in my prayer life, God was not telling me in 2004 for a couple of years at least to go back to music. He told me to continue where I was. So it got tricky at times because I missed the music, but again, I trusted God in that.
Absolutely. That's powerful. Why do you think that there is sometimes within the music industry the link to alcohol and drugs?
I'm not sure. The music industry, unfortunately, has a habit of bringing out sometimes the worst in people if they're not careful. I don't know if it's the environment. I don't know. In my case, I'm doing really well musically now, praise God. I'm actually very cognizant. I'm not worried about the drugs or the alcohol any longer, but my past, not having esteem, and things like that, I'm actually very cognizant about things like, accolades or people telling me I'm doing good, because I'm always afraid that'll, I'll forget God and get caught up in that and start getting filled with that. So I don't know if that's the same reason with the drugs and alcohol, that being a musician is, if you've never done it, it's a challenging life to begin with, so alcohol and drugs probably is a easy way to turn and cope anyway.
Absolutely, and that's what I was thinking, that really, does it really become that coping mechanism because of just, what is being required to keep up with the fast, as a musician, because as you become more and more popular, I'm sure the demands become greater also.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You can also get caught up in, it's almost like there's an image becoming of you, if that makes sense. And you can get kind of caught up in, like, I'm the musician on stage, and, it's just easy to get lost in that if you're not careful.
Absolutely.
I pray on that, I pray on that every day.
And I think that can happen to us, so many times, within our lives, that we can get caught up with image. I think that even now in the world of social media, I think it can be easy to be done, in that regard as well. And I think just making sure that, having confidence and directly knowing where that confidence and that self-worth comes from, whether you are directly able to connect it to Christ or whatever form of religion that you practice, I think that that's the thing that really helps so many, because a lot of times we are trying to stay in that same face or image that the world wants us to, be seen as great.
Amen. That's exactly right. You said it better than I did.
Thom, you've been great. I'm having a great time with you. We're going to take a quick break. We're actually going to play one of your songs, and when we come back, I would definitely love for you to tell us all about it. Stay with us. I'm your host, Sai G. You're on Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire Radio.
Hi, I am Caprice Smith, your uncuffed living expert. I am also a transformational and empowering business coach. I teach strong, empowered women how to uncover their own life's purpose and match it with a business of their dreams and create several streams of income. I believe if you're not living uncuffed, you're just not living. There are too many women that are faking it until they make it. Working with me enables you to do the self-work so that you live the life that's meant for you. I invite you to visit capricesmith.com. There you will find my packages. I conduct VIP days where I spend an entire day working one-to-one with my client. I also host monthly seminars. I have a huge annual seminar, and I've founded my nonprofit 501c3 where we teach families and teens about dating and domestic violence. There are so many layers to me. I invite you to connect by visiting capricesmith.com and scheduling your free 20-minute strategy session where you too can start to live uncuffed. In addition, every Saturday at 10 o'clock, I invite my listeners to the May We Help You radio team, where they hear from other women who, like me, have discovered their purpose and are living the life that's meant for them. Until I meet you in person, have a wonderful day. And remember, if you're not living uncuffed, you're just not living.
Slantress, a noun meaning a woman with a vision and the heart to follow it. Slantress focuses on inspiring and supporting the growth of Black women, but is open to all women by using this publication as a vehicle that assists in the fostering of self-progression. This publication does not speak for every woman, but will work to provide the voices and slants of as many as possible. Get your subscription today at slantress.com. That's SLANTRESS.com.
Thank you for staying with us on Motivate, Enrich, Inspire Radio. I'm your host, IG. I'm telling you, we're having a great time today. I hope you have your coffee, have your tea. You are sitting down and lunching with us. I have Thom Lourin with us today, and you just heard the beautiful sounds of his song, Chrysalis. Thom, please just give us a little bit of background about, this particular song and what inspired you.
Sure. Well, actually, my entire CD, I've been calling it the EP because there's only 5 songs. God put it on my heart to do something where I could get back out there. And even though it's instrumental, my CD actually is my testimony. It's bits and pieces of my testimony. The song Chrysalis, if you go into chronological, I hope I'm saying it right, order of the way I wrote the songs, that's kind of, that was my first discovery of joy in my life. It's hard to imagine living a whole life with actually no joy or no peace or whatever. And that was the first time I actually experienced the fulfillment that we were mentioning before in the interview. And I felt joy and wanted to celebrate that. The word chrysalis is the transformation from the caterpillar to the butterfly. That's that middle stage.
Wow.
And that's kind of where I was. I'm dying to the person, the worthless person I felt like I was, I'm becoming the person Christ had in mind, had for me the whole time. And it's just celebrating the joy of that.
That's powerful, Thom, because, it's so many. I've been in that state, myself, and it's so many that are still lost and are looking for hope. And so, I love that you really, utilize your song to really, be a testimony to someone, and that you said it was the first time that you really, felt joy. What words of just encouragement would you give to someone that may be in that current state and is trying to get through that transition?
Oh, boy, let's see. I guess trusting and seeking God, the words of encouragement is to trust. And when you give yourself to God, be patient and let him do his thing with you. And that's so easy to say. It's so hard to do.
It's a process, right.
I've been a Christian since 2004, and he's fixing me daily. I'm nowhere near. I still consider myself broken. I'm just, God's using the brokenness while he fixes me. Does that make sense?
Wow. No, that does make sense. That makes complete sense. And, I think that we're all, always inspiring to greatness, and to really, get to a place to be able to go from good to great, but it is that walk daily, and we all have bumps every single day, but it's about really still staying on the road and being able to stay, motivated and inspired. I want to go back a little bit, Thom, and just really talk about the 90s and how you really toured all over the country. Tell us how that experience, was, for you, because that's such a great, accomplishment.
Yeah, again, I believe that was God. Even though I wasn't saved at that point, like you said earlier in the interview, he's always with us. And that could have been even the preparation for what's going on with me now, because I did get on stage. I ended up, it's kind of amazing. 1 minute you're playing a club with the band, and there's like 10 people there, and you're like, oh, this is good. And, next thing you're at some amphitheater with about 3,000 or 4,000 people in front of you, you're going, how did that happen? And that's what, it was never solo. I was always working in a band situation or backing up singers and stuff. But, yeah, I ended up on stage with Jody Watley with some stuff. We got to open for Pieces of a Dream for a while, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And, it was, like I said, it was just some pretty big venues. I was blessed to spend a little time in Europe doing some stuff as well. But, like I said, all that was pre-giving my life to Christ, but it was still interesting because it prepared me for where I'm at now. I did manage to get on stage in front of a lot of people. I also have a stage fright issue, and I had to learn how to deal with that. So. Absolutely.
Is it something that when you're playing actually on stage, are you able to kind of tune the audience out?
Yeah, to a degree, and usually if I'm doing more than a couple of songs, I think that kind of wears off after a while anyway. I start getting into the spirit. Some people joke when they see me live or whatever because I move around the stage a lot. And it has nothing to do with putting on the show. It's because I get into the spirit. And you're right. At that point, I probably forget there's an audience out there. I get caught up in the song or whatever. I make all the cool guitar faces and all that good stuff. So. My manager one time told me, he was like, I was at a gig a few months ago, and he said, you were all on the stage, you got to remember to work in particular parts of the audience. I'm like, I wasn't even paying attention to that. I was just running around getting into the song I was playing.
Wow. That's awesome. You talked about definitely performing with bands all over, but you actually have a band now, C&T Connections.
Yeah. Actually, we haven't done anything. That's the poet I worked with for a while, and we had a band backing us. We haven't done anything in about the last year or so, and it's nothing negative. We both got called away.
Wow.
But Cash the poet, who's a spoken word artist out of Baltimore, she's doing a fashion line.
Okay.
She designs clothes and whatnot, and she's also, like me, doing a solo thing. And we got so caught up in what God had us doing. We haven't touched C&T since 2012, actually.
Wow.
And,
well, that's...
I'm not... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. You're fine. I think that that's great that you said just about how, you were together and now you guys are all pursuing solo careers. How has just, the journey now through pursuing your solo career been, Thom?
It's been interesting because I'll be honest, when God told me to do it I'll be honest, I argued with him first. I was
Did
backing
you
up
win?
time. No, I never. Yeah, how you gonna win? But I was backing up a singer, Tanya Dallas Lewis, who I still play with now and then. Is a very big, up and coming, I should say, national singer. And I'll be honest, I was happy. I was doing solos and stuff. I was behind her where I could hide. And everybody looked at her. The spotlights were on her, and I was back there with the band, and I was very comfortable with that. And God was like, one day, I was like, no, you have a story. There's people that need to hear it. You need to stop hiding. And I'm like, no, I'm somebody's guitarist. And it's like, no. I have a different plan for you altogether, so.
Wow.
But, I'll be honest, going into it, I didn't know, because I never ran my own career. Like, I've always been in something. I didn't know what I was doing. All the management, like we talked about Sean Poppy, people like that, God put those people in my life because I didn't know what I was doing. So he put the right people around me. And then even going in the studio, I had no premise on the songs that you guys are playing. I didn't go in with these songs written. I didn't know what I was doing with that again. And God just said, play your heart. He even told me, it's like, don't play jazz, play your heart. Play your story. Don't worry about genres. Don't worry about what audience you're going after. Don't get caught up in that. Just do you, the you that I made. And
that's powerful because when I think about you, saying that for 5 years, basically you walked away, you weren't doing this passion of music. God calls you back to it, and now He's really showing you how this is your testimony and how, you're going to be able to touch the lost and hurting people through sharing it. And just as you said, just as you began to really just follow Him, He had people pass, like right there in perfect timing to make it successful. I just think about, I shared this during the break, about how, daily you're putting up interviews where your music is being played literally all over the world. Just recently you did an interview in South Africa, right, Thom?
Yep, the last 2 weeks I was in South Africa and London. Not physically, but it would have been nice if I could have flown out there, but yes.
Absolutely. So just think about that, and how you even talked about just, the preparation of traveling all over, in the 90s and how it comes full circle, now. I just think that that's such a testimony, and I hope that that's able to motivate someone, today, in really just making sure to just stay the course, when we really are, like you said, obedient, and are following, Christ and are, lowering of ourselves and more of Him, because that's truly what it's about, then things just happen to just fall in place. And I can even share part of my own testimony that, is very much the same. My background for over 20 years, I was in the hair and fashion industry, came full circle and was running stores and working in corporate, and became ill and had a autoimmunity disorder that affects my joints, and it does to this day. But here I am 2 years later, and I'm able to walk in so much more purpose because of what I've really gone through. And in 2012, I was like, God, what is this? Why am I going through this? But it was really me having to walk away from some things to really have better understanding for what He wants me to do, and the lives and the people out there, that I really desire to be able to help and motivate and encourage, whether it's through my business, whether it's through the radio show, whether it's through, coaching, however. But, really that is what's in my heart, and how God is showing that you have a testimony that needs to truly be shared. So, Thom, I can connect with you, when you say that, and how God has a way of doing things that, will totally blow your mind, and you will not, because I would have never left, my good corporate job, as they say, and I wouldn't have, in a million years. But I was running around like a chicken with its head cut off. And to literally now be able to live a whole different lifestyle. And not that every day is perfect, but I do have a whole lot more peace and joy. So I am so thankful, Thom, that you're sharing your story. We're going to take another break. We're going to play another one of your songs. When we get back, I definitely want you to talk about it and share more of your testimony. You are listening to Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire Radio. I'm your host, Cy G. We have Thom Lourin with us today. Stay tuned to us on the May We Help You Radio Network.
Most people are held captive by being an employee or self-employed. Heroes Academy helps break these chains that bind them. Our financial school has 2 courses of study. First, one for people who want to transition to become business owners, and the second for students who want to learn to become an investor. For more information, please go to heroacad.com.
Welcome back to Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire Radio. I am your host, Cy G. We are having a good time today. Thom, tell us a little bit about the song that we just heard, Esperanza.
Okay, well, Esperanza in the chronological, I'm not even going to say that word this morning. I can't pronounce it. But in the order of the CD, that song would follow Chrysalis. That's kind of my party song. I'm starting to enjoy my life. Esperanza, I started playing the progression. I liked it. It's just jazz, and I started playing it for the producers. I went to One Vision Studio. I'll give them a shout-out, One Vision Production. And the engineers are listening to it. It was like, wow, that's a cool Cuban thing. I was like, it is? So my band, luckily, is pretty world-oriented, so we were able to write a Cuban rhythm section behind it. So that became, I guess, my Cuban jazz song. And basically, it's I called it my party song, because after, Chrysalis, where I was experienced joy for the first time, it's Christian life's not perfect. You go through the same storms and trials and stuff as God prepares you, but there are times where you get to have a party in your life, and that's kind of what that song is.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you're so right about it. And, the thing about it is that you hear it sometimes within the Christian walk. It's just that, we're partying with different folks, we're still having a good time, because sometimes I believe that people can think that once you have dedicated your life to Christ or, another religion, that, we become the ones that are boring. But
right.
It really is quite the opposite.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not perfect at either. I have days where I'm depressed or walk around. It's like, and I have to snap myself out going, wow, people really want to know Christ through this.
Absolutely. Well, Thom, look, it has been such a great time with you today. I really want you to, tell us about, how, because we were talking on the break, we've been having such a good time, and you and I were able to definitely, relate and connect about, our testimonies personally, about how we sometimes have had to leave things to really walk in purpose. And I really live on purpose a lot. I'm always tweeting about it. I'm always putting it on Facebook. And what purpose has been for me has really, it's been more about
Hello?
And Thom, I'm so sorry, and all the guests. No, I'm so sorry. We lost Cy, but she will be right back with us. But in the meantime, Thom, I think she wanted to just share how you guys both had personal testimonies that really just link you into Christ to follow your true purpose. And can you just tell people, what the rewards are that you receive when you do follow your purpose?
Well, again, it's trusting God's will, because you don't always see where God's taking you in that. But at the same token, when you do trust God, you totally give your life to Him. You totally get out of the driver's seat, so to speak, and let Him take you wherever. He's got incredible things for us. We actually deny that ourselves. We get in God's way a lot. And our purposes and stuff, it's not just to represent Christ, whatever. It's just fulfilling in our own lives. It just, it's hard to describe the reward. It's not, even explain it in the worldly terms, it's not like, I have $1 million or whatever the case is. But the fact I feel better and better about myself each day, and I see how God's using that,
yes.
It actually touches me when I open up about my testimony, like what was happening in the interview today, and somebody feels comfortable and they start opening up, and it's just amazing.
Absolutely. And I know we have Cy back on, so I'm going to let her continue.
Thank you so much, Leticia. I'm telling you, there is a big storm that is happening now in Richmond. And I was like, well, yeah, all of a sudden, just, my lines were down. But I'm so glad to be back with you, Thom. And I didn't catch what you were just saying. Share with us caught up on just your solo career as far as an artist now and what's happening. Because I know you have a lot of things that are going on. You have events planned, and your CD is due to come out. Is it next month?
Oh, no, actually, my CD came out in November of this past year. The video is coming out March 1st.
All right,
CD,
awesome.
The CD actually did come out November 23rd. I actually need to get you guys the physical copy of it. I just sent some songs.
I would love it.
Yeah, definitely. When we're done, or if you guys can text or email an address, I will definitely send it out. But it's interesting because I'm out doing the usual stuff as a musician, with the CD out. I'm doing the radio, obviously, doing some TV stuff. I was just on Atlanta Live about 3 weeks ago, in South Carolina a couple weeks ago on TV, and getting ready to do a Skype interview in Arizona. That's coming up next, and trying to get the band out there as well. It's interesting because God's definitely got me busy. I'm even in the studio right now with a poet and a rapper doing some follow-up music.
Wow. Now that should be definitely interesting, Thom. I love that you're, able to connect with so many different artists. I know that you were talking about the band that you'd worked with previously. One of the artists that was part of the band did spoken word. I know that when I was reading over your bio, you said that you're, working with a hip-hop artist. I mean, that's just great stuff, that you're connecting with people all over and sharing your testimony.
Oh, yeah, definitely. God made one thing clear with me also. He was like, I want you to go out and be an example of following me. It's like, don't set limitations. Don't, not knocking music industry or anything, but I just don't fall into a genre. I'm not really even looking to do that. I play kind of a jazzy, progressive style, but I match it with all kinds of world beats, and then I'm working with a hip-hop person. I love doing spoken word. It's nothing against singing. It's just there's something about that connects with my music.
Yeah, that's nice. Good stuff.
Yeah, it's nice to have words occasionally with the guitar.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it, and I love that you said, don't get connected, and I think that just, applies, with us sometimes in life. We don't have to be stuck in, any certain group, but just be who we're called to be. And then,
exactly.
We'll fit in how we're supposed to fit in with the right people at the right time, all the time, by just being authentically ourselves.
Exactly.
It's definitely a process to get there. Thom, I know that you have some events coming up, soon, so I want you to share that with our listening audience as well.
Okay, and let me see if I can remember all this so my manager doesn't yell at me later. March 1st, there's a radio station that supports me called Rejoice American Radio. They really support the heck out of me. They play nationally and have really put a couple of my songs out there. They're doing an event in, I think it's Triangle, Virginia. I hope I'm not getting this wrong. And I'm going to sit in on that. It's sort of a praise and worship kind of concert. The only other concert I'm going to do is May 9th. I will be back in Atlanta. I played this place a couple times. It's called the Sea Room Multiplex. It's a big theater, I don't want to call it a club. It's a very big venue. It's the first place I ever played as a solo artist.
Wow.
A year ago, which that was a lot of fun. There was about 300 people there, and I went up there by myself. Played with a track. They gave me a microphone. I think I probably whispered to the audience, on the mic or whatever. And
well, we definitely encourage you and encourage our listeners to come out and support you, to be at your event March 1st and May 9th. I know that your website is up. Share your website with us, Thom, where people can stay connected, find out what you have going on so that they can come out, where they can actually purchase the CD.
Okay. Well, my website is brand new. It actually was up yesterday, and it's still in construction phase, but it is up. Let me spell it out because nobody can spell my name. It is it's ThomLourin.com, basically, which is ThomLourim.com. Check it out. If you feel inclined, let me know what you think because we're still building it.
Absolutely.
I'm also through Shekinah Records, which has a website with a page that I'm on, which is Shekinah is SHEKINAH Records.com. I live on Facebook because it's the easiest way for me to communicate with my running around. My Facebook page is Thom Lourin. Yeah, honestly, it is because people can talk to me and I can answer when I can, when I'm able to.
Right, absolutely. I think we're all definitely on it right now. A couple years ago, I was so against it, but it's easy.
Right. Okay. My manager just corrected me. See, I got it wrong already. I'm in Waldorf, Maryland, March 1st, not Triangle, Virginia. See, that's why I'm not allowed to talk about my gigs. So that's right. March 1st, Rejoice American Radio Concert in Waldorf, Maryland. So if you go to Triangle, I probably won't be there. But
okay.
And yeah, Facebook is Thom Lourin. That's simple. I'm on Twitter at Thom Lourin. It's all one word. The T and the L are capital.
Awesome.
And I think I have a Reverb Nation page under Thom Lourin as well.
All right. Good stuff. Well, look, we're going to encourage our listeners to definitely get connected. Go to his website, thomlourin.com, as well as if you're in the Maryland area, March 1st and May 9th, Thom will be in the Atlanta area. So, go get connected to his website so you can find out more details, as well as, how you can purchase his CD. We're going to take a quick break and play another one of the tracks from Thom's CD, and then we're gonna come on back and we are going to continue talking about loving your journey and how sometimes walking away is required, but how God always works it out. Stay with us. I'm your host, Cy G. You're on Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire Radio on the May We Help You Radio Network.
Incarceration doesn't just affect the one behind bars. It affects everyone. Here's your chance to let others know that being locked up leaves others locked down on the outside, hurting emotionally, economically, and spiritually. We want to know how you feel. Go to www.lovelockdownseries.com and make your creative voice heard. lovelockdownseries.com. We are listening.
Thank you for tuning in to Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire Radio Show. I'm your host, Cy G. We are having a good time. I'm telling you today, my guest, Thom Lourin, has just been doing a fantastic job just sharing all about his journey and his career as a gospel guitarist, now gone solo. He has an amazing new album that just came out in November. Thom, tell us the name of your CD.
The CD is called A Work in Progress, which is me. Actually, it's any of us.
Absolutely. How did you come up with that title?
Oh, I'm guessing God again, because it just kind of popped in my head. I was not sure. Each song, the CD, I was not sure what to name anything, so I just kind of prayed on it and went through things in my head, and I just kind of looked at where I'm at in my life right now. I was like, I'm a work in progress in God's hands right now, and that's kind of, that fit.
Absolutely. I definitely know that I can relate to that, work in progress. Thom, I want to tell you, we have great comments coming in. I just had someone hit us up on Facebook saying that they are enjoying your music as well as what you've been sharing today on the show. We definitely want to thank Mr. Larry Patton for sending his comment over as well. Thom, you have just definitely been great. I want to tell you that we are definitely fans of Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire Radio, of you and your work, how you are just, living on purpose, definitely, allowing God to use you to share your testimony and to touch and to help so many. Just in closing, I would like to just ask you, what keeps you inspired?
I guess the growing, the difference I see God. It's interesting to see God using you, and I'm blessed. Not everybody that obeys God necessarily gets to see. They may plant seeds, but they don't always get to see the fruitation, if that makes sense, of the seeds. I get to see, like, even when we talk today and you start opening up about your testimony, I see the difference God is making through me or using me. It's God doing it, but he's using me. I've talked to people where they told me, after talking to me or hearing my music, where they have given up until God spoke through me. And they were trying again, or they were proceeding on, and I was like, I don't take credit for it. It's God using, but the fact he's using me, it's just, that keeps me going every day. Really hard to put into words.
And just looking, I see that with the weather, Cy's line has dropped off again. Let's see if we can get her back on the air in just one moment. But, Thom, why don't you tell us a little bit more about just what really inspired you to, well, actually, here she is. Yay!
Yay!
And Cy, you there?
I'm praying for
so
you.
We thought we was going to have to get Thom to just run the interview. We said that he could play his guitar, so that's for next time that happens.
Gotcha.
I tell you, we just want to share with everybody, the weather has definitely changed up here in Virginia. A storm has come out of nowhere. So I just want to thank everyone for being patient with us today. Thom, you've been great. I am so excited about what you're doing. Again, can we get your website? Can we get your CD on your website?
You sure can. That's something I didn't bring up. And, again, my manager was going to let me have it if I didn't cover this part. But you can buy the CD on ShekinahRecords.com. I think it's going to be available on my website as well.
Awesome.
You can get it on CD Baby. It just came up, I believe. We are putting it on Amazon and on iTunes and whatnot. Unfortunately, I just found that it takes a little while to get the songs on there. So they will be on there. I don't think they're on there yet. I know you can buy it on CD Baby and definitely the websites.
Absolutely. Well, good stuff. We're going to encourage everyone. The sounds that you've been hearing today have been all tracks from Thom's CD. So we are so excited. We encourage you to go and definitely purchase it on the various ways that he said that you can connect. Thom, we know that before we go, we're actually going to be able to play one of the last songs that you have, and this is actually your song that has a South African meaning for the title that means peace, right?
Yep.
Okay.
The song, I'll spare you the pronunciation of it. The song is called Ukatula.
Ukatula. So pretty.
the percussionist I work with, we were working on something, and he said this is a South African beat, and I loved what he was doing, so I had actually had a jazz progression that worked perfectly with it. And then each one of my songs, I play them, I figure out where my heart is with the song. That's where the titles come from. And that was a song I feel at peace. And like I said, before Christ, I never had peace in my life. So that song is kind of celebrating. It's like, wow, this is peace. This is what it's like. And the word is peace in Zulu, which is a secondary language in South Africa.
Wow. That's absolutely amazing.
And the song is playing in South Africa, and they love it. So I guess I did okay.
That's good stuff, that it was inspired by that, and now that they are actually playing. I mean, that's just God at its best as far
Amen.
as making things just work out. Well, Thom, you know what? Your testimony has just been so inspiring to me. I hope my guests today, have gotten a lot out of it. Every week on Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire, we just really try to bring you your weekly dose of motivation and inspiration. Again, this month we've been talking about loving the journey, and today we focused on how sometimes walking away is required. In Thom's case, God brought it back full circle to his passion, and now he's pursuing it in a whole different way, in a different direction, and doing so well. So we just want to encourage you, if you have something in your life that you are definitely really going out to pursue, really, walk in purpose. Find out what that is. Sometimes it's about, getting in that alone time and figuring out what's inside of you and allowing that thing to come full circle and pour out. And then just start walking it out and pursuing it. And you will find that the doors will begin to open and they'll be in your path and right on time. Thom, I thank you for being with me today on Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire Radio. You have just been phenomenal. We've had great feedback today. We just want to thank everyone for tuning in with us. And if you were kicked off for any reason, maybe due to the weather, we will post a link so that you can hear the playback because we don't want you to have missed any of today's show. It was absolutely amazing. Thom, we just want to encourage you to, continue doing the great work that you're doing. And we hope to be able to continually share your music with our guests here on Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire.
Thanks for having me. I will definitely keep you updated. And thank you also for what you guys do. That's just as important as what I do.
Oh, thank you so much. We're going to go to a quick break, allow you to play the last song, and we're going to just encourage you to stay with us on Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire Radio on the May We Help You Radio Network. Thanks, Thom. You have a great weekend.
Hi, my name is Letitia M., owner of May We Help You Network. I want to thank you for joining us and enjoying our host here on MWHY Radio Network. Please visit us online at mwhyradio.com and like us on facebook.com/MWHY Radio. Tune in to learn more about our hosts and upcoming contests and our TV programming that will be coming to you soon. MWHY Radio, bringing together business, community, and music.
Thank you so much for tuning into Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire Radio here on the May We Help You Radio Network. I have had such a great time today on the show. I just want to thank you all for tuning in today. I know that we've had, great comments coming up in the chat on Blog Talk Radio. We had one of our guests saying that Thom's music was great to listen to, that it was mentally would bring them into focus and allow them to get a lot done. I totally agree. Thom's music is great. So, again, we want to definitely encourage you to go and visit him at his website, thomlourim.com, THOMLOURIM.com. He gave all of his social media handles, so hopefully you got those as well. And for you to connect with us, the May We Help You Radio Network, like us on Facebook, connect with us on Twitter, or go to our website, mwhyradio.com, and you can find out about all the great shows that we have going on the network. I mean, we have had shows actually being added every single day, and it's been great. I've been able to meet so many great hosts. I am very, very honored to be in the company of such amazing and talented hosts here on the May We Help You Radio.com. I'm getting, okay, I think I've said it wrong, mwhyradio.com. Thanks, Letitia. And next week we have with us Sylvia Mitchell. She's a comedian here in the Richmond area. She will be on telling us about being a comedian, a female comedian in the industry, as well as her upcoming events. So we're so excited about that. So have Ben and Jewel Tankard from Thicker Than Water, which is the Bravo reality TV show, and they'll be with us on March the 7th. So we're so excited about what's happening, and you can connect and find out all the great things on our website, mwhyradio.com. Again, I want to just thank you. I'm your host, Cy G. Connect with me as well. You can find me on Facebook under my business, which is Walls You Love. I'm on Twitter, NEI Radio, or you can connect with me on Walls You Love on Twitter as well. I thank you so much for tuning in with me today. Hopefully you were able to be motivated, inspired, or get information to help you to live on purpose. All right, have a great day, and we'll talk to you next week, same time, 11 a.m. on the May We Help You Radio Network.